Indeed, I'm very happy meeting with some of my old friends and also some new friends. After all, we are same human being. I always see trying to make make clear. We really need a sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. Then I think a lot of man-made problem eventually can reduce or can eliminate. With sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings, then automatically, you see, develop the feeling, oh, I love my life. I want happiness. And similarly, the others also, you see, the same sort of desire, same right. If you have that kind of sort of feeling, then no basis to harm. Otherwise, it's just thinking oneself and don't care others sort of feeling, others' right. Then killing. These things happen. So now here, I think mainly you, Kazuta, Kong Shamarwe. You, since many years, we know, so you are quite active. So sometimes, you see, sometimes some our Chinese friends, after Tiananmen sort of event, many escaped. Then eventually, nowhere, these people, somewhere, they just, I think, rest. I think you not like that. And some of them not like that. Quite active. That's good. The active, not in the sense of more violence or these things, but the active in the field of how to bring reconciliation, and how to solve these problems through human contact, human understanding. So I appreciate. I myself, you see, I always say that any problem, including our own problem, will not solve with the feeling we and they. No, we must, you see, develop sense of we, all same human being. Then particularly, you see, the Tibetan problem, and also Mongolian, also you see Uyghur, all these, they are same human being. I usually, you see, mentioning 中华人民共和国 united. That's very good. One occasion, when I think the former president Wu Jintao visited India, so some Indian media asked me, say, Kasoda, what do you have to say to President? I simply mentioned, President Wu Jintao can learn India's sort of situation. East India, South India, West India, North India, Central India, different language, different script, isn't it? I have many sort of friends in Tamil Nadu. So some people there, they say Tamil language is much developed than Hindi language. So that kind was the feeling there, but remain united. Yes. Different sort of language, different script. And with that, I think a certain different sort of way of life, a certain different culture heritage. but no problem. Live together. And I always telling, I think the very reason why, you see, I fully committed middle way approach is I admire the spirit of European Union. So I'm very, very happy having sort of meeting, these sort of delegation, and I appreciate all your effort, your work. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And all the sort of participants who come, I really appreciate. Thank you. I think any human problem, who will solve human problem? By human being ourselves. I am Buddhist monk. Certainly in my daily prayer, daily practice, I also pray to Buddha. But actual sort of problem, we have to solve. Sometimes I was telling, if we really have the opportunity of meeting with Jesus Christ or Buddha, if we ask, please bring peace, then Buddha, Jesus Christ may respond, who created this problem? If Buddha, Jesus Christ create problem, then we have to pray, we have to ask. But since problem we created, then it is our responsibility to solve this problem, not through just prayer. Okay. So I would like to spend time, little time. This is just the interaction. Some questions, some suggestions. Tuesday, come here. Madhus. 교사래. 교사선. So, some questions, some suggestions, also some criticism, peeping.
Eight people from inside China.
Oh, 8 people.
8 people from inside China.
Oh,
This time.
raise hand. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
저는 믹스에 기한서 첨리이다. 가다잖아 계급 중화人民共和国 我们 민보 72배 계급 차대어래. 我们 자는 내 친구래. So far, you see, China, most populated nation. And I think historically, it shows Chinese people, generally speaking, cultured people, hardworking. So I think these potential, I think in order to make, I think, significant contribution for world affair, I think trust, respect from other people is very essential. So present sort of existing sort of system, close society, very heavy censorship. These are, I feel, great obstacle in order to make significant contribution for world affair, like that. So, question.
Your Excellency, Your Holiness.
Please sit down.
We are living in a world of information, communication, technology. Ideas can go fast. Why the good ideas is not growing? Why the mindset is not changing for good? On the other hand, it is going the other way in this modern world.
Maybe wrong, but I have the view existing our education system mainly oriented about external values. material values. Not much talking about inner value. So people always thinking about external values. Then inner value is concerned, people just think me. I think self-centered attitude. Don't care other. So because of that, exploitation, corruptions, and then bully, cheating, the worst thing, killing. As I mentioned earlier, if we really have this sort of feeling, the other, your neighbor, also same human being, same right, be happy, live peace, then no basis of violence. Just think myself, me. Even religion, also my religion, not concerned about other religion. I feel education. I think some responsibility. Therefore, since now, I think more than 1 decade, with sort of full cooperation with some scientists, some thinkers, some educationists, so we are trying to how to introduce an existing secular education field, some sort of education about moral ethics. All major religious traditions all carry moral ethics, but that mainly, based on faith. Now that in secular sort of education may not be fit. So we should create, education about secular ethics, secular way. When I use the word secular, according to Indian understanding, isn't it? When you say secular means respect all religions, not distance from religion or disrespect religion, but respect religion. And also, respect non-believer. I think that concept, really, not only ancient Indian concept, but today's world, very relevant. According, some report, out of 7 billion human beings, over 1 billion non-believer. So these also human brothers, sisters, we must, bring together. We should not say, oh, these are anti-religion or non-believer. No, they're also human beings and part of humanity. So the education, secular education, even those people, so secular education mainly, based on scientific findings, and then our common experience. We all come from our mother. We all, survived today because of our parent, particularly our mother's care, affection. After we're born, mothers do not take care, we'll die. So even those, the so-called terrorists, these also, same way, come from their mother. They received immense affection from their mother. So even these people, deep inside, the seed of compassion is there. Then this physical also, more compassionate mind here. Peace of mind automatically come. That very, very helpful to maintain good health. I think I can make myself as an example. A person now nearly 81 year old, my life not easy way, a lot of problem, but my mind quite peaceful. So my health also. See, except you see, hair now, lesson, but still better than your head. So it seems you have more wisdom. So shining from here, shining. Then also you see, when you look from little distance, you see, I think you will see my face quite young. If you come closer, then more white hair here now. So therefore, the peace of mind is really very essential. Not talking about the next life, not talking about nirvana or moksha. Simply, the healthy body, healthy sort of mind, and also happy family, happy individual, happy family, happy community. So this inner value is very essential. Just yesterday, the television interview, there's one question. You see, it's almost his first time. Now today's world, you see, marry and divorce quite often you see happen. So that kind of question asked me. Then I respond, it is the wrong person to ask these things. I have no experience. But you see, I think many years ago, I think San Francisco, one occasion I met one Christian priest. He usually, you see, working as a marriage counselor. So then he told me, he usually advise those young sort of couple, don't hurry actual marriage, wait. And you should know each other deeper level. Once you fully sort of understand each other, with that respect, mutual respect, then marry. I remember that. I answer, you see, according to that. So that's, I think, good. Not on the basis of just a physical beauty, but spend more time that know each other inner beauty, then marry. Otherwise, hardly marry. Within a few weeks or a few months, quarrel start. Yes, I really feel, I think education is the key factor, not religion. Through education, secular way, to educate people, bring some kind of awareness about inner value. Then all major religious traditions carry message of love, message of forgiveness, message of tolerance. All these are the, I think, very useful, or I think important part of secular ethics. So firstly, not through faith, but through understanding importance of these values. That's through education, I feel. Next question, yes?
Hi, His Holiness, we are so happy to see you. Just want to let you know we have Hong Kongese people in this group to hear your lecture. And I want the Hong Kong people want your blessing since we are losing hope. And then Hong Kong people nowadays are somewhat like getting into a dark hole. Our leaders are getting no longer like those leaders in the British era, and then the current situation in Hong Kong is getting so dark, especially young people are losing hope. So can you give some blessings to Hong Kong people, since you know Liang Chaowei and Wang Fei, they come to see you, come to hear your lecture, but you know, after the Chinese media expose their activity, their pictures with you, they have to draw a clear line that from you. That's so bad that so anything you can say to the Hong Kong people, and then they need your blessing. Thank you.
Thank you. Recently, I saw some some problems. And just one thing I want to repeat. After Tiananmen event, you see, a number of young Chinese students, you see, those who come out or escaped, you see, I had the opportunity meeting. Then I told them, we are senior refugee. People from after Tiananmen, they are still younger. So what we learned, patience, determination is key thing. I told them. So at the beginning, some kind of, how should I say, lot of enthusiasm. Then situation not easy. So take time. And then time passes, you see all this enthusiasm gradually diminishing. That's wrong. So similarly, I want to repeat that. You Hong Kong people, particularly youth, you see, it is certainly your sort of what's the because of that right, more free, more freedom. These things are basic right. So sometimes it's a totalitarian system. You see, sometimes you see find a little difficulties. However, you know, People's Republic of China today compare 30, 40 years ago, much already changed. I think because large number of students from mainland China carry study in America, Europe, Japan, so on, like that. And India also some. And then also you see tourists, number of Chinese tourists, since economic condition improve. So a lot of sort of tourists. So these people, you see, get sort of a clearer picture about reality. Isn't it? And then the leaders, you see, I think through their friend, or sometimes you see, these leaders, their children, you see, sent to foreign country. They officially very much critical about the United States, but they are very, very fond to send their children to send to America and also send their money. So therefore, you see, even top leaders now getting different information according to the reality. So therefore, and then the economy problem. You know, centralized sort of economy sort of system, more or less failing. The great leader, Deng Xiaoping, you see, create some sort of, what is it, the new, or open the economy sort of system, more market-oriented. So that really affect much. And also, I think, immense help to create gap rich and poor. So therefore, I think overall, I think China, People's Republic of China, is changing. So please, you keep your hope and your determination, your enthusiasm, and should not create any violence. That's self-destruction. Must follow. This is someone, the friend from Uyghur or Xinjiang. See, when we met, like Kadir Samarwe, I met, you see, a few occasions, and I told her, firstly, you should not involve violence. We must follow non-violent principle. Then second, you see, seeking independence is firstly difficult, and secondly, really reasonable or not, as far as Tibet is concerned. Historically, Tibet, independent nation. But now modern time, as I mentioned earlier, like the European Union, you see, politically independence, emotionally important, but practically, union is more important. So European Union, particularly I used to feel German Deutschmark, very strong, but they are willing, you see, to adopt Kasadi, Euro. Italian, something different. Their leader, Kasori, worthless, right? So, because a euro is much better. So these things, and also you see, one my German sort of friend, not only friend, I consider my tutor, von Weizsäcker, great physicist. That's 1990s. So, see, one time he told me, when he was young, every German eye, French is their enemy. Similarly, French eye, German is their enemy. But that kind of attitude completely changed. So I think the reason Adenauer, German president, de Gaulle, French president, during war, very much against. According to new circumstances, you see, these former two enemy, you see, then decide to develop European Union. So therefore, you see, now time come. This morning, I saw the BBC report, the concept of global citizen. More and more younger people, they prefer global citizen rather than, you see, citizen of this nation or that nation. I think these are healthy signs. Some kind of concept, as I mentioned earlier, oneness of humanity. That is growing, not out of spiritual thinking, but out of necessity. So therefore, you see, there is reason you feel, or things will change. You should keep your your spirit, your enthusiasm, no matter for the timing, how much difficulties, you must keep that. And I think, age-wise, I'm much older than you. So sometimes quite useful, you see, learn experience from old people. Sometimes the old people should learn from young people's sort of ideas, young people's experience. Okay.
Your Holiness, I think Taiwanese delegation also have a message for you. 从台湾来的朋友有没有 message 给那个请尊者去台湾呢？啊，这个我讲。你们谁讲都可以。
尊者好，我是杨建立博士，在台湾的工作团队。那我们这边台湾的朋友站起来让尊者认识一下。
회원님이 가시죠.
这是这一次我们带来的都是我们的工作团队。然后因为马政府的关系，我们一直希望尊者可以到台湾来。那希望呢，新的政府蔡英文政府可以再透过更多的努力，然后让尊者可以来到台湾。 会让尊者可以来到台湾，然后再给我们台湾的朋友们更多的祝福，也很希望尊者可以给我们这个机会，让我们可以再更接受到尊者的加持。
I know many Taiwanese, I think very, very eager, you see, my visit. Mainly, you see, there are large number of Buddhists. So therefore, many Taiwanese is really very, very eager. It's my visit. And I also, as the follower of Shakyamuni Buddha and a student of Nalanda masters, so it is my duty to explain, to share out of my own knowledge or my own experience. However, you see, these things are you see, very much sort of connected with a political matter. For example, Ma Ying-shu, when he was mayor of Taipei, he speaks English very well. So, you see, we become very close friends. While I remain in Taipei, you see, each day he sent some flowers to my room. But then when he became president, then you see, in spite personal sort of very close sort of friendship, become president, then something different. So you need, I think, when I first visit Taiwan, then Karatiri, Hong Kasa, Ujinghua, oh, Li Donghui, I also some DBB, people. I told them Taiwan's independence, in your mind, something very sacred. But you have to think realistically. So as far as economy and defense is concerned, you should have very unique close relation with mainland China. I told at that time. So then, so you see, my main reason is, you see, your relation, the new government's relation with mainland China, it goes smooth. Then through that way, I think there is opportunity, my visit. If your relation remain a little difficult, then I do not want to create additional problem. Okay, like that. My visit different countries, I always make clear, I do not want to create any inconvenience to concerned people, like that. So question of my sort of visit Taiwan, not depend on me, depend on you. And mainland Chinese friend is from mainland China. Since 1954, when I was in Peking, say I expressed I want to have pilgrimage to Wutai. And then at that time they say, no good road, so difficult. So still my desire, one pilgrimage, Wutai, is still there. Actually, Daohai, I really respected. You see, a wonderful monk, one occasion, we make some kind of pledge. In future, we may have the opportunity to visit as a pilgrimage to Uttarakhand. Then that day come. You should join with me. So you should recite Panchaparamita Sutra in Chinese language. I read Tibetan language, and one Indian friend join with me and recite Sanskrit. So we made some kind of a pledge. But now Tahe no longer here. So still, I have that sort of desire. So we'll see. And Xi Jinping, President Xi Jinping, I think, about 2 years ago, when he visited Paris and Delhi, he publicly mentioned Buddhism is important role in Chinese culture. He publicly mentioned that. So it is quite true. Historically, Han people, majority of them are Buddhist. You know, wherever Chinese community, whether in America, or in Europe, or Australia, you see, and previously in Calcutta also is some big Chinese community. Wherever you see Chinese community there, some Buddhist temple, isn't it? Like that. Once in Calcutta, one small Buddhist temple created by Chinese community. So once I also see, they invited, I also have been like that. So therefore, Chinese people generally, I think, traditionally, Buddhist was the Buddhist. So then, sometimes I feel, as far as socio-economy theory is concerned, I am Marxist. So, no question, I am socialist. So, in order to practice socialism sincerely, I think Buddhist concept of compassion, I think very important. Saying, 社会主义, here, me, difficult. Isn't it? So therefore, I think Buddhist concept, I think, can be very helpful to create genuine, sincere socialist country. Like that. Okay. I'm Marxist, but at the same time, I'm not Leninist. As far as Lenin is concerned, I totally against. Sometimes I feel Lenin spoil the original Marxist sort of concept. Lenin, we cannot sort of blame Lenin. The circumstances when Bolshevik revolution started, you see, the circumstances, civil war there. And outside Western world also very, very something negative towards the Bolshevik movement. So during that period, wartime, certain sort of way of thinking, mentality, suspicion, distrust, and tight control, censorship, these are relevant, wartime. So that is a wartime mentality become part of their system. That's a mistake, I feel. And Chinese communists also, during civil war, that kind of mentality there. Then, after sort of established the 中华人民共和国 it's still that kind of mentality still carrying. I think because of that Leninist sort of mentality or system, I think under that, I think Soviet Union also, I think, suffer. A lot of people, millions of people suffer a lot. And Chinese case also, I think millions of people suffer a lot. Not the Marxist communist system, but you see, their later part of Leninism, I think, really created a lot of trouble. So therefore, I make sort of distinction. Marxism, Leninism. I'm follower of Marx, not Lenin. Yes.
Holiness, it's a great honor to be here.
I really admire your effort and the impact that you have created in the world to encourage people to solve problems with compassion and with peace. Now, as a practitioner, Falun Gong myself, we're also a Buddhist school practice, and truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance is what we believe. I've realized that in the past decades, we try to encourage people to get to know the truth about persecution, not just about Falun Gong practitioners, also about what's happening to our other fellow countrymen, and also Tibetan and Uyghur people. And I have realized that when I try to do this, the indifference and the fear of my fellow countrymen and the people around the world made a huge impact on me. Oftentimes I felt alone. Now, Your Holiness was talking about to solve these issues with education. Now, do you think this fear factor can be simply taken away by education, or is there more? How can we encourage these people to care about each other again with real compassion with their heart?
I'm talking or thinking in the terms of humanity. Look, 20th century, in spite a lot of positive development, but that century become century of violence. So according to some historian, over 200 millions of people killed through violence. And also use nuclear weapon. So immense violence. So if the immense violence really brought new shape of the world, then some people may justify the immense violence, but that is not the case. Instead of sort of better sort of shape, I think because of 20th century's sort of the event, still you see carry, you see that kind of mentality, or whenever we face some sort of disagreement, use force. So, beginning of 21st century, still it's a pockets here, and I think violence, imminent violence. I think this very moment we are enjoying peace, but this very moment, I think thousands of people dying in Syria and Iraq and so on, other countries. And starvation. I really feel some people killed by tiger or elephant, then sometimes we feel, oh, how sad is that person killed by tiger or elephant. It becomes something shocking. Then thousands of people killed by human being. Now almost usual news. Unthinkable. So that's now today's situation. I think this symptom of past mistake 21st century people, I think whenever you see they find some difficulties, they always sort of rely on use force. So violence is the one effective method to solve the problem. So that way of thinking is still there. That must change now. That change, as I mentioned earlier, not through prayer, but through education. So I usually call, you see, any problem which we human beings created must solve through human way. That means dialogue, meet other people, your opponent, meet, talk. Since we are the same humanity on this small planet, so we have to live together, side by side. So the only thing is try to find a mutually agreeable solution. That's some kind of sort of spirit of compromise. That's the only way. I should win. My opponent must defeat. That outdated. In ancient time, different nation, even different sort of the community, then their interest is more or less independence. So destruction of your enemy is victory of yourself. Now today's world completely changed that. Destroy of your neighbor or destruction of your neighbor is actually destruction of yourself. So that's the reality. So therefore, I usually call 20th century becomes century of violence. Now 21st century should be century of dialogue. So you see, immediate problem, no matter how difficult it is, try to solve through peaceful ways. Peaceful means talk. And then long run, through education. Sometimes, you see, sometimes I sort of telling my generation, and also you, so my generation, you see, now more or less our mind, more or less some way fixed. So now hope is younger generation. I usually make distinction, generation of 20th century, generation of 21st century. Now my generation of 20th century. Now we begin to say goodbye. So now real responsibility, the generation of 21st century. 21st century just beginning. 16 years, almost 16 years passed. Remaining still yet to come. Future, always possible, some change. Past, no matter bad or good, cannot change. It's past. So, future depends present. Present thinking from learn past experience. So too much violence is just to bring more suffering. So the violence should consider outdated. Eventually this world should be demilitarized world. In order to demilitarize the world, firstly, we need internal disarmament. Reduce anger, hatred. And that also not through prayer, not through medicine, but through training of mind. As I mentioned earlier, education about basic human values. I want to tell you, some scientists, you see, they try to sort of investigate what is basic human nature. One method, you see, very, very young infant child, 4 or 5 months old, language not yet developed. So to such, I also saw, you see, that picture. It's a very young, you see, child. To show that child one cartoon, you see, 2 children play together with smile. When that picture seen by that infant child, smiling, like that. When another sort of cartoon, 2 children, you see, negative attitude one another. When that cartoon, you see, seen by that infant child, like that, I saw. So they mentioned, they conclude, basic human nature is more compassionate. Then obviously, as briefly already touched, the physical sort of health, constant fear, constant anger is actually eating our immune system. So in order to keep immune system, not just good food, the Chinese, you see, the plenty cuisine, you see, wonderful cuisine, Chinese, that may not to keep good health. You see, too much sort of cuisine, too much, not good. So, therefore, the peace of mind, calm mind, is very, very essential. Maintain our immune system. So, since one occasion, visit Mongolia, I publicly told, you see, the Mongolian, at that time, my first visit to Kadure, I think 1979. Then afterward, you see, few occasions I visited. So one occasion I expressed Mongolian, you see, the karsa, ursu chanti. Vodka. Lot of Mongolian drink vodka. So I told them, I just expressed, Mongolian brothers, sisters, should take less vodka, more horse milk. So then, number of Mongolian, you see, follow, is my suggestion. So, number of taking vodka much reduced. Now, recent years, when some Mongolian media people ask me any sort of new suggestion, then I suggested, now too many Mongolian, you see, they are physical, too much overweight. So then I told them, better to eat less meat. Like that. So therefore, peace of mind, not through alcohol or drugs, not that way, through reasoning. What use anger? Immediately destroy our peace of mind. Then worst thing is when anger develops. One of best our ability or potential is, you see, analyze the thing, judge objectively. That part of our mind, the function of that part of brain will not properly function if you too much anger, too much fear. So in order to utilize that part of brain, sometimes you see, maybe too bold. So I express some of the hardliner in China and also North Korea. You see, they are usually human brain. Human brain have the ability to develop common sense But some of these hardliner, that part of brain missing. So although you see, I mean, naturally, you see Chinese people, Chinese including leaders, they really love their own country. And also you see, they love their party. It's very right. But many of their activities actually against interest for their own party or their own nation. So lack of common sense, just ideology and power. Don't care what consequences. I think lack of the common sense, really. So therefore, you see, the peace of mind is the basis of fully utilize common sense. Look things objectively, not imposing one's own views, one's own faith, one's own wish. No, remain completely neutral. Then analyze the reality. Okay. So sometimes I sort of describe, I think according because of the theistic religion, you see, we created by God. So you see, best gift from God is our brain. Really, isn't it? Wonderful. Now that best gift from God, this brilliant brain, I think should use more constructive way, more positive way, then you also get much happier, much sort of peace. This very sophisticated brain becoming disposal of anger, hatred, very bad, very unfortunate. Then I think we should ask God, please remove that kind of sort of, what is it, mandala or something. They say mandala, right? Mandala here. You see, usually those emotions you see develop. So that part of brain should be removed by God. Then I think we really get more peaceful world. Yes, next question.
I'm a Chinese human.
Huh?
I'm a Chinese human rights lawyer. And I and Yang Jianli and some other Chinese people support the idea of right to self-determination. I think the future of Tibet should be decided by Tibetan people. So we are going further than your middle way approach. But I have another general question. What do you predict the future of the dictatorships in this world, like Iran, China, North Korea? Thank you.
Yes. Even, I think in 1996, I have opportunity audience with the Queen Mother of England. Then her own age, 96. So then I asked her, since she observed almost whole century. So then I asked whether world situation become better or same or worse. I asked her. Without hesitation, she mentioned world become better. The reason she used the human right, concept of human right, concept of right of self-determination. When she was young, not much talk about these rights. Nowadays, these become universal sort of value, she told me. So, the right of self-determination and human right, these are very important. But at the same time, we also, need, as far as Tibet is concerned, you see, Tibet materially backward and a small population. You see, Tibetan also as a human being, we also want more material development. This rich spiritual practice will not fulfill our stomach. We also need to see food and shelter, these things. So therefore, we also, you see, need, you see, material development. So sometimes I sort of publicly telling, you see, Tibetans, you see, particularly those Tibetan who, you see, really is determined we should get complete independence. Sometimes I sort of argue many Tibetan among the refugee community, and even from Tibet also, you see, illegally immigrating United States or Europe. So these illegally immigrated these countries, not seeking spirituality, but seeking dollar or euro. So that shows the Tibetan also loves dollar or euro. I think some of the Chinese also, I think, same, I think. Also these leaders, you see, who spend their money, you see, put in America or like that. So in any way, so therefore, Tibet, huge land, huge area, materially backward. So remain within the People's Republic of China is for our own interest, provided we have unique cultural heritage, including language, script. So that Tibetan language and script, today, I noticed, you see, best language to describe ancient Nalanda thought. I think Tibetan language, Tibetan script is the best language to explain thoroughly, precisely. So Tibetan language is the most closest language with Sanskrit. So therefore, you see, preservation of Tibetan language or Tibetan script not only concerned for 6 million Tibetan people, but I think the entire Buddhist world, the Tibetan language is very, very important. So therefore, you see, preservation of our own language, script, and environment. And these Tibetans should have full authority, full right. That's a mutual benefit. Remain within the People's Republic of China, get more material help, provided preserve our own unique cultural heritage. Then millions of Chinese Buddhists. The latest information, over 400 millions of Chinese following Buddhism. So, you see, our knowledge, our experience, you see, can share with these people. Like that. So, you see, it is a mutual benefit. So that's our sort of main reason. Since 1974, we decided we are not seeking independence for our own sort of benefit, remain within the People's Republic of China. So that's 1974. Then 1979, the Deng Xiaoping sent some indication. He want to meet my emissary. Then my elder brother went there and met Deng Xiaoping. I think almost 2 hours sort of meeting, talk. Then Deng Xiaoping stated, beside the question of independence, anything can be discussed. So we have sort of full courage to meet Chinese officials like that. So then, following few years, we also have the opportunity to send some fact-finding delegation and meet some Chinese leaders like that. Then eventually, the Tiananmen event, before the Tiananmen event, was the democratic movement in some universities. Then eventually Tiananmen sort of event happened. So then their sort of a policy become much harder, like that. So at that time, Hu Yanpang there, I always is telling, if Hu Yanpang remain with power more years, I think Tibet issue most probably can solve. And Tiananmen event will not happen like that. And Hu Yanpang and Dao Ziyang. One sort of sad story, moving story, when my friend, one Chinese businessman, we met, I think, America, one scarf. You see, when he returned, he gave that scarf to Dao Ziyang. And Dao Ziyang already dismissed. Then the last minute, when he sort of dying, and he expressed, "Oh, kasoda, Dalai Lama, tanga shigi with chikyangro chanas." What was
His Holiness? If only His Holiness would know that he's passing away.
At the last minute, he expressed that, like that. So very moving, very moving. So then, I think Li Peng, then a little bit of a hardliner. Also Deng Xiaoping, I think the full authority there, but you see, my friend, you see, told me, the Li Peng, you see, told Deng Xiaoping, these people against you. Then Deng Xiaoping, I think Deng Xiaoping also have the sort of feeling of me, that. So therefore, then he give order, crush. Then those Chinese soldiers, not stationed in near Peking, but brought some other places, isn't it? Like that. So that's really unfortunate, very unfortunate. So in any way, so now, as I mentioned earlier, Kung Ho Ko, like a European Union. This India, I heard, you see, through some of my friend, Bino Babaji, you know, Bino Baba, you see, once he expressed the idea ABC. A means Afghanistan, B means Burma, C means Sri Lanka, Ceylon, then India, Pakistan, some kind of federation. So he wants to express that kind of vision. I think if that vision eventually materializes, then I think Afghanistan today, I think much more stable. Burma as well, and Pakistan also, I feel. The great. So then, I think some people may sort of criticize when we say all three Tibetan regions, then the Chinese officials say Greater Tibet. So we never sort of use that word. We simply seeking, according to Chinese constitution, which recognize Tibetan regions. So, Tibetan Zangzu Zhichu, Zangzu Zhichu, Zangzu Kasa, Zhichen. So, Zangzu, constitution recognized. So, what we are sort of asking Chinese government is, all those Tibetan area should have same right for preservation of our own language or our own sort of tradition, these things. But you see, the Chinese hardliners, they accuse us, the Tibetans seeking Greater Tibet. So maybe some people say Greater India. including Afghanistan, or Burma, or Sri Lanka. I think the reality, if such idea materialize, I think today, I think much more stable, at least I think Afghanistan. Isn't it? So now time come, think. As I mentioned earlier, the global citizen. What do you think? What do you think?
Great, I agree with you.
批评以外，批评一下以外，人家批评。
Keeping messy.
So sometimes you see, since we fully committed middle way, so we received criticism from another sort of group, or we should seek independence. The middle way approach is actually selling Tibetan right. Then from Chinese government say, oh, this disguised independent movement. So we truly in the middle. Criticism from this side also. Criticism from this side also. But I think about 4 years ago, we noticed about 1,000 articles in Chinese language wrote by Chinese, including some, I think, from mainland China. So all 1,000 articles fully support about our middle way of approach and a very critical view about Chinese government policy. So that really gives us encouragement. And then in America or in Australia, when I met some Chinese students, some Chinese professors, some retired officials, some businessmen, when we talk about these sort of things, then at the beginning, their attitude a little bit sort of distance. When you see these things become clear, everybody become very close friend. That's the way to solve our problem. Like that. Okay. So now last question, perhaps.
We have a few youngsters. back here.
什么地方？
北京。
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 对对对。
你好，我想问这样一个问题，就是说，如果我们中国大陆的民主化实现以后，当然，在我看来的中国大陆实现民主化，也就是恢复到1949年以前那个状态。我们的第一届民选政府没有跑到台湾，或者说，我们大陆现在的状态，整个中国的状态就是恢复到现在台湾岛这个状态的情况下，那您认为？ 像西藏啊这些族群的问题的解决，会不会更容易一些？或者说您有什么想法？谢谢。
哦，谢谢。但 as I mentioned earlier, we have to sort of think the various sort of factors. We have to look more holistic view. I think when I think the mainland China become more open society, free information, then we certainly we will find, I think, opportunity to discuss and also scientific way of research on sports. Then, you see, with mutual respect, discuss what's the best way to give to provide best sort of 가서 다 니수 약슈다 탁주 약슈.
The best solution.
Best solution. You see, through sort of scientific way, study, investigate on the spot, then openly discuss and mutual benefit, then decide. I think that's the best way. Without emotion. Han people should act like towards Shungdi Minsu. Shungdi Minsu shen dongya mo shibche. Gazu chazo 가서 부터 캠퍼스니 롭종체 창자네. 하모니 탄제 다탄제 항상 다탄제. Yes. No. Next question. Oh yes. One Uyghur brother.
Thank you, His Holiness. I have a question. Uyghur is obviously much distanced from the Chinese because of the Islamic belief and the current world's negative image of the Muslim. And so, from my observation, it may be wrong. Chinese people mostly more close to the Tibetan because of the same religion. I mean, it's Buddhism. But with Uyghur people, with the Chinese people, and in religion, in culturally, even in facial, sometimes dressing, is having big gap. In this case, we are having and placing the Chinese government's high pressure to Uyghur people, even changing our language, religion control, and cultural destruction. So this distance is becoming bigger and bigger, and the hatred toward each other is very deeply in the heart. So what is Your Holiness advice for us to take as our background?
In Tibet case also, you see some area, you see the control or restriction learning Tibetan and promote the learning Hanwon. And then many monasteries, you see, they set up, I mean, they have to carry political education. So Tibet case also is a lot of problems. Actually, some Tibetan, you see, express that, told us that, kasa, Chengunya marbe, when the Shizang, kasa de, Dangwei Shuji, Chengunya came, Lhasa, then he stepping up control in religion and also learning Tibetan. So that at that time, you see, some Tibetan express now semi-cultural revolution start. That was the real causes of 2008 crisis. Like that. So we also used to suffer a lot. Then Uyghur, as far as religion is concerned, Muslim, among the Han people, also large number of Muslims there. I remember, you see, when I was in Peking, the Liu Kepin, 그런 곳을 가래. 미리가 자기들도 회주. And often you see I teach him, give some pork. Because we become very close friend, wonderful person, like that. So these, sometimes, in Tibet, in some area, among the prisoner, some Muslims there, some Tibetan there. So the authority of prison, see, they resisting giving porks to Muslim. They say we must respect Islam. Tibetan Buddhists, they deliberately send to help to kill animal. It actually happened like that. And anyway, I think the Islam, I think recent sort of years, particularly the September 11th sort of event happened. And then you see sometimes you see some even media, some articles also create some kind of sort of impression. Islam is a little bit militant. I think that's wrong. Actually, September 11th, after 1 year, some kind of commemoration in Washington, in main national cathedral in Washington. You see, I was there at that time, so they invited me. So in the cathedral, I mentioned this September 11th sort of event. You see, those people, their background Muslim, but this should not sort of consider because of few people sort of, I'll say because of wrongdoing, whole Islam is something negative. That's totally wrong. Some mischievous people, not only among the Muslims, but among Buddhists also, among Christians, among Jews, everywhere. I think among the Hindu also maybe. Some mischievous people. I always telling, India is really peaceful country, really, really. Religious harmony, wonderful. But then some mischievous people, always there. It is understandable. Over billion populated nation, some mischievous must be there. Over billion Indians should not be like God. Or goddess. Some mischievous people must be there. So it is understandable. So like that. So you see, some mischievous people is always there. So due to behavior of some mischievous people and generalize whole Islam is totally wrong. I mentioned that. Because I have some reason. In my own birthplace area, many Muslims, our neighbor, very friendly. And after I come to Lhasa as a Dalai Lama, in Lhasa, at least 4 centuries, some Muslim community there. Actually, the 5th Dalai Lama provided land to construction of mosque in Lhasa. So we have, then, since my childhood, I know many Muslims, very gentle. No record of quarrel. Then in India, many Muslims I know, very gentle, very good. So then the very meaning of jihad, not sort of harming other people. Jihad means, you see, combat your own negative emotion. And one Muslim, my friend Muslim, told me, any practitioner of Islam create bloodshed, actually no longer Muslim. and Muslim practitioner should extend love towards entire creature of Allah. Wonderful, wonderful. So I fully committed, you see, make since 2000, September 11th, whenever you see some interfaith sort of meeting take place, I always come forward defending Islam. It is unfair. Some mischievous of Muslim community, you see, carry some sort of negative actions. Today, sort of terrorist. Most cases, you see, Muslim background. But these, you see, should not consider the representing of Islam. Totally wrong. Actually, next week, I'm going to meeting some Muslim young brothers, sisters from 14 Muslim different countries in this very room. So I also, you see, invited some my friend Indian Muslims. Also, I invited. So like that, you see. So I think the image of Islam, I think time passes. Look, Indian Muslim, very peaceful. Because of this environment and the circumstances, you see, make differences. I notice Indian Muslim, Indonesian Muslim, Malaysian Muslim, these Muslim, you see, they sort of grown up among, you see, people who have different faith, like Indian Muslim, the young children who carry, as of that, on white cap, but they, from their childhood, take for granted there are many different religious traditions. Okay, isn't it? So these Muslims' mentality is something different. Indonesia also, large number of Chinese people there. Most of these Chinese are Buddhist. And also some Indians, some Hindus, like Bali area, many Hindus. So you see, their mentality is something different, more open. Malaysia also is a lot of Chinese businessmen and also Hindus. So you see, they are, these countries, Muslim, they are thinking a little bit more open. Then Arab also, I noticed Jordan, better educated sort of people. So I have some few occasions visit Jordan, Imam Sarve. So one occasion I met some student of Jordanian sort of school or college. You see, where there are questions, see, their attitude just like European student, except you see they are sort of kasa. So sometimes I sort of, in order to teaching them, you see, when I'm mixing with some Muslim women, then I also, you see, in order to create joke or teasing, I also, you see, remain like, you see, the Muslim women. So you see, education and environment really makes differences. So I think the Uyghur brothers, sisters, I think, as I mentioned earlier, when I met Kadir, very too much emotion. Then I told her, this also won't help to solve your problem. So only way is non-violent way. Then also seeking independence is unrealistic. Then eventually, you see, she agreed my view. So at that time, some Chinese accusation, Dalai Lama met Kadir. So actually, I helped her sort of violent mind become more non-violent, and seeking independence become more seeking autonomy. So actually, as a result of our meeting, you see, I helped to cool down her sort of mind like that. So I think Chinese government should be grateful to me. So like that, you see, patience and non-violence, that's very important. If you have some sort of opportunity to communicate, then please send. You see, again, I want to tell you, one old person, Lauren, lot of experiences. So, Lauren sort of also the kasa sishang, right? So, non-violent way, more patience, and it is your right to ask your sort of freedom to study your own language, Uyghur language, and pray to Allah. This your right to ask Chinese brothers, sisters. Then other sort of, because of some frustration, because of the past difficulties, then some kind of feeling of revenge always, you see, create more problem, never solve. Even past, very difficult, but we have to try to cool down that kind of sort of emotion and make friends. Then through friendly, try to solve the problem. That's the only way. Clear? I think the global level, those big nations, you see, use violence. Now, for example, the September 11th, you see, event happened. I know already very well the President Bush. So I wrote a letter, I think 12th September, I wrote a letter to him while I expressed my sort of condolence to those dead people, and also some sort of my prayer. And then I express, I hope this problem should sort of, solve through non-violent way. But then eventually, the Iraq crisis happened. I know President Bush very well. As a human being, wonderful person. I love him. Very good. So after Iraq crisis, one occasion I met him. I told him, I love you, I respect you, but some of your policy is concerned, I have some reservation. I told him, he laughed. So I know his motivation, bring democracy in Iraq. So they are sort of what's the method, or I think they are sort of idea. If Saddam Hussein remove or disappear, then everything can solve. That's not the reality. So if you see at that time Iraq crisis, try to solve through talk or some other peaceful ways, then I think today's there's a lot of problem, maybe less. Then also Israel and the Palestine problem. Since 48, you see, this problem, you see, happen. So still, both sides try to stand tough. That's not the way to solve. So all these, fuza. Very complicated, very complicated. I think all these complications created from here, anger, hatred, suspicion, distrust. So the only way to reduce these problems is more compassion, more mutual understanding, mutual respect. That's the only way, isn't it? Like that. So, then I think now about 3. So, my usual, the daily practice, I get up about 2:30 morning, and some prayer, mainly analytical meditation. Analyze, very helpful. So then, afternoon, about 5, 6, my eyelid become very heavy. So every day, everywhere, you see, my program, about 3:30, my program always end, because I love sleep. So every night, 8 to 9 hours sleep. That also good for health, isn't it? So thank you. Goodbye. Now I really appreciate